Okay, I'm good on my end. Are you good on your end?
I think I'm good on my end now.
I hope so. We don't have as many homophobic microphone issues as we did last
So
time.
homophobic. Why are they
Just-
like that?
Ugh, anytime there's ever a slight inconvenience in my life, homophobic.
I
So
also
rude.
tend to go in that direction for sure.
Yeah, it's what I can blame it on. I'm just, oh, how dare they be out of the ice cream I want? Homophobic. Which would be mint chocolate chip. What's you? What kind of an ice cream person are you?
Oh,
I feel like I don't know this about you.
I think one of my all-time favorites is one that's only available at the Ben and Jerry's like standalone store, and it's Berry Berry Extraordinary. Otherwise, I really like Tillamook is doing a thing with Target where they have this like walnut maple custard thing. It's really good.
Of course, you have the most like. Well, you can only get it if you go to the standalone stores, and there's also this like crossover event going down that. I mean, you probably haven't heard it. Of course, those are the kinds of ice creams that you would say. You could never just say like Rocky Road or something, could you? You just always. Well, actually, you have to go to Boston to get it. But other than that. Jesus.
The other like
I'm just like mint chocolate chip.
I also recently in the past couple months had like a mind-blowing ice cream experience. So I'm gluten-free, so it really kind of limits like I used to love chocolate brownie ice cream, but they don't make it gluten-free very often. But I went to this ice cream place by my friend's new apartment and I had marshmallow ice cream and ube together, and it was so magical. Anyway.
The way that's still, I was like, oh, maybe Taya's gonna have a more normal ice cream flavor for no, it's still no. Couldn't have been cookie dough, which
I'm a hoe for
cookie
taro.
dough is so beyond overrated.
I like cookie
Cookie
dough.
dough is, oh come on. Of all the ones to like stand up for, I like cookie dough. Oh God, I'm gonna fight you. Is that?
I do like a mint chip though. Only if the chips are
Okay.
really tiny though, because I don't like a full chocolate chip in there. You know what I mean?
Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry.
My absolute favorite. I'll take mint chocolate chip however I get it. I don't care. My favorite one though is the Breyers kind that's like white mint. It's not green. It's just like white with chocolate chips. And when I was a kid, I would always like eat around the chocolate chips the whole time. Like I would take the tiniest little bites and then at the bottom I just have like a bowl of chocolate and then I just eat the chocolate
That's
separately.
incredible. It's like those TikToks when they try to bake the cookies with the cookie dough from the ice cream. So they like put the ice cream
Oh.
block in a strainer and then put hot water over it. So all the ice cream just goes into the sink. It makes me so mad.
Oh my God. Well, that's just such a waste. I think of it more like I'd compare myself to Kourtney Kardashian. Have you seen the
boy.
video of how she eats Kit Kats?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was much more my vibe as a kid with my Breyers mint chocolate chip. Non-spawn, but like, girl, if you want to.
It's
I
a
will take
Minnesota
all of the
company.
free ice cream.
We're Minnesota
It
bitches.
is?
Yeah.
I didn't know they were a Minnesota company.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I'll trust it. I'll take ownership of that. I don't even remember how I got homophobia. Yeah. I was trying to remember how we even got to ice cream in the first place, but it just hit me when I said that. I was like, I don't know what your favorite flavor is, and I needed to know immediately. And of course, it's underground.
Very
You
serious
maybe haven't heard of it. Yeah, it's apparently for you. Oh man. But okay, I'm trying to think of a good switcheroo over to the movie.
Oh, a switcheroo.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the connector between ice cream and this movie, but there really just isn't one.
yeah.
I mean, you just used a British accent and what's her butt? Kelly Osbourne is in this. So there it is. Kelly Osbourne's in this movie we watched. So Undercover. a 2012 flop that is rightfully so a flop.
Yeah.
You want to give the little synopsis?
Yeah, I would say that the people concur with you. It has a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.1 out of 10 on IMDb. And the description for So Undercover 2012 is the FBI hires a young private detective to go undercover at a sorority to guard the daughter of an important witness with an organized crime case.
Yeah, which, you know, it doesn't sound like the worst idea from a movie. However, those numbers are horrifying. And this was the first time that, like, ahead of watching this movie, I thought I had seen it, but I definitely hadn't. But prior to watching it, I did look up the rating that it got just to kind of know what I was getting myself in for. And that was a shockingly low number.
Yeah.
Like, we've watched Tall Girl. We've watched The Princess Switch. And nary did it ever dip below a 10% before now. Oh, God. That's painful.
I hadn't really heard of this movie, and I was a huge Miley Cyrus fan as a child, and I just don't remember anything about this movie in the time that it came out. It must have been like very post Hannah Montana.
I feel I need to like look it up. When did Hannah Montana stop? Because I mean, this came out in 2012, and I'm genuinely curious because one of my like first notes was seeing Miley this age was very much giving me Can't Be Tamed. Hence, you probably didn't even see it. I tweeted from the account like pictures of like spoilers without any context, and that was one of them, was just a picture of the album cover from Can't Be Tamed, because that's all I could see this whole time was that era of Miley, as well as the fact that like this movie felt like it was made by Disney, but it wasn't. And it was also very adult in a lot of its jokes, but like Miley was still very much in her post Disney Channel acting.
Yeah.
It was so confusing. Like, I didn't understand if this was supposed to be for children or for adults or just edgy teens. It didn't feel like it had a place. It was very, very uncomfortable.
It says on Wikipedia that Hannah Montana, the TV show on Disney Channel, went from March 24th, 2006 to January 16th, 2011. So yeah, it would have been just right after.
Fresh.
Yeah, around the Can't Be Tamed era when she was trying to break out from the Disney Channel stuff.
I knew it.
I would think that it would be a young adult college movie.
Yeah.
In kind of
But it doesn't feel like college age people would want to watch it.
It wanted to be in the same category as like Easy A or something.
It did.
But it wasn't quite there.
It didn't work.
No.
It didn't work at all. And I don't even know like who to blame or what to blame. I think part of it really is her being fresh off of Hannah Montana and like 5 years of the kind of acting that they do on Disney Channel. Like, have you seen that SNL skit that's like the Disney Channel acting school? I'm pretty sure Miley Cyrus is the one in that skit, is she not?
Yes.
Yeah. And she was very much bringing that Disney Channel acting school that she was making fun of in SNL into this movie. And I don't know how to tell her this, but it's fine. She's a multimillionaire. She's doing all right. She's doing just fine despite her acting and So Undercover. So I feel like I can say that a big part of it I feel like didn't land because of her acting, which I hate saying. Miley's got some issues. I don't know. I loved her most recent album, though. I will give her that. Her most recent album, Plastic Hearts. Oh my God, did you not really listen to that?
Okay, so I didn't know that she had a new album. I knew that she was doing...
It's not even new anymore.
All of these covers, like a year and a half ago, maybe. Like the Heart of Glass cover, and then there was another one.
That was the cover did make it onto her album.
Okay, I'm off. Sorry.
It's a good album. I was absolutely livid when it didn't get put up for a Grammy. I mean, she's had her issues in her past, but I'm very neutral with Miley in general. I'll take it or leave it. I'll take the music as it comes and I'll judge it. I'm not like blank slate Miley fan, but I don't even know why I'm saying this, but like, yeah, I think a lot of it didn't land because of Miley's acting. Some of it also the writing, and I obviously whoever the director was should have been directing people to do a little better.
Yeah.
But it just you could very much tell that it was fresh after Hannah Montana. You could feel it very much. Okay, so to give some context, Miley's character, her name is Molly. Couldn't have thought of anything better. They were like,
I didn't
what's
make that
Miley's
connection.
character?
I didn't make that connection.
Oh my
I
god!
didn't.
It was like the first thing I noticed because I wrote down
stupid.
like, maybe just a little bit, But because I was writing down the characters' names for now, so I'd have the reference, and I was like, Molly for Miley. Are you kidding me? But
I started the movie without subtitles, so I thought they were calling her Wally.
okay, well, I mean, that will get in the way of you knowing everything that they say, but no, her name was Molly.
I was just very focused, and then I put the subtitles on, and I was like, oh, okay, it's not Wally, it's Molly, and then that was my entire focus.
Was that you thinking, oh, they're trying to really make her not like other girls?
Yeah.
They're doing more than a baseball cap. They named her Wally this time.
Yeah.
Stop. Also, I'll get back to adding more context in a second, but can we just take a second to mention that Miley literally said word for word, I'm not like other girls in this movie. Like when they were in the makeover scene. Did you? Every time I'm like, hey, let's talk about this. And you're always like, when did that happen? Like, do you ever watch these movies?
Yes. I was paying attention to this when I promise.
Were you?
Yes.
She literally said, I'm not like other girls. She literally said it word for word, and I was like, oh my god, Taya and I are gonna have a heyday over this, and you don't even remember.
I was so focused on the stylist just saying absolute bullshit the entire time. I was like, what are you talking about? And that was my main note, was like, nobody talks like this. In that like fake popular girl slang.
Yeah, no, that was a decent amount of my notes, but to go back and give some context of, because we're kind of skipping in like 20 minutes into the film at this point. So this movie starts off with Miley. Dad. Oh, yeah, Kurt Hummel's dad. That's another thing I was going to mention. I was like, is this man just everyone's father in Hollywood?
He plays
like,
the exact same character every time. He is typecast.
Every time. It's always,
Kurt Hummel's dad.
I'm the dopey dad that wears a baseball cap. Like every time when I was looking up the characters and the actors that were in this before I watched it, I saw him and I was like, he's gonna be the dad. Mm-hmm. He's gonna be the dad, because it just gave me names and I was like, that's the dad. And then immediately she's like, hey dad, and I'm like, of course.
Do you think Billy Ray Cyrus was offended?
I doubt it. I mean, at this point, just because everyone knows. I mean, fresh off of Hannah Montana, no one's believing this. No one's believing it for an instant. The casting, horrible. Like, at this point, if you're gonna have Miley have a dad in anything, it's your fault if you didn't cast Billy Ray alongside her. It's your fault. It's your problem. I said what I said.
Not sorry
but
about
the
it.
movie starts out and she and her dad are clearly like spying on someone, trying to scope someone out. Come to find out, she is like not stalking. She's investigating a governor and catching him cheating. Not just cheating with a woman, but with two women. So right away I was like, yeah, this is not a kid's movie, because she was like, it's a menage a gross. I was like, oh my god. Did you notice that line?
Yes, but it was so gross.
I know. And like so immediately she catches this governor mid threesome and runs out of the room because she gets caught by him while she was catching him, and he chases her with a whip, chases her to the top of the building, tries to like hit her with it or something, and is like, give me your camera, you're worse than the paparazzi. And she's like, she's somehow like tosses her camera, but then it like snaps back into her hand on some like Spider-Man type thing. Does something, somehow gets the whip from him and like hits him with it and is like, I'm not the paparazzi. It was a lot. For the first like 5 minutes of the movie, I was just like, where am I? No wonder this is free on YouTube. I get it.
Yeah.
So that happens. Then real quick, Miley's character Molly is at a diner where she is then recruited by this man named Armin, who says he's in the FBI and is asking her for help on a case. And she says no at first, but then he exposes to someone that she's a PI investigating him. And he's like, now you have to help me. And we find out that Miley's dad has issues with gambling. But that like never comes up ever again. So I don't even know what the point of that was. It literally just like the next scene is her at her house when he comes home and she's like, where were you? And he like lies about where he was. And then she's like, But yeah, then we get to the point where they're in this makeover scene that we were talking about because she agrees to help Armin.
Yeah. Do they ever cover why? Undercover. Do they ever go over why they need money? Because I didn't catch that.
I think we were just supposed to catch on to the fact that they didn't have a lot of money because she like wasn't wearing super fancy clothes and it was like an average looking home. Like I think we were just supposed to pick up from context clues that like she could use the money and because I guess that would be the point of showing that he gambles is that he's been wasting the money that they do have. And that he had been kicked off of the police force for his gambling. So he's not really making any money. She, as the child, seems to be the breadwinner.
Yeah.
So I think that would be it. I never really thought that through, but then I guess I kind of figured it out. But yeah, now we're at the makeover scene where she makes sure we know she's not like other girls at all.
I was also focused on all of the brands that the stylist had mentioned. And if you thought that those were
my God, I was
placements.
hoping so. I was hoping so. I literally was like, if Taya doesn't catch all of the product placement in this scene, I absolutely quit.
It was what?
Where
Marc
did
Jacobs.
It was, okay.
That was the only one I retained. I didn't write them down. I was hoping that you would.
I wrote down a few of them. I definitely missed some.
The stylist, for context, the stylist is trying to get Molly to be wearing all of these like clothes and accessories, and Molly's not having it. And she's like rattling off all of these brands and like types of fabrics and obscure colors and trying to prove her point that she knows what she's doing. And they say a ton of actual real life brands, and I just am not convinced that they were sponsorships. You think Marc Jacobs himself gave money to this movie?
I hope not. Speaking of giving money to this movie, I will get back to the notes that I have on a few of the brands that I wrote down. She really fired them off, so I don't think I got them all. But speaking of money, I was genuinely curious. I was like, what was the budget of this and how much did it make in the box office? Its budget was $15 million and it brought in 2.5.
Oh, shit.
In the box office.
Was it in theaters at all, or was it straight to DVD, or what did we do in 2012?
I'm not sure, but whatever they did, it didn't make money. However they released it, it didn't work.
They lost a lot of cash.
Yeah, no, I thought that was funny. And I felt like that was something that like going forward, we should also look up that number to give some context. But yeah, didn't do well. But back to the product placement, one of them that really stood out was when she was given her new car to drive around campus. And they were like, here's your new Volkswagen EOS. Like the way that Armin said it was so incredibly, I was like, this just is an ad read. You didn't even try. He was just like, you're brand new EOS. with great mileage. I was like, shut up. But the stylist definitely at one point held up 2 packets of extra gum and was like, in the mint and the bubblegum flavor or something like that. And it, like the way she's holding them is like so perfectly like you can see the brand. I was like, girl, come on. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, but again, she's not like other girls. Lots of... Oh, my God.
Don't lose your microphone, Grace.
It didn't stop recording this time.
That's good.
I literally am, like, bending over backwards to try to get this microphone in a good spot. I think we're good now, though. But I also just thought it was really funny, like, leading up to the makeover. Obviously, again, they were trying to let us know she's not like other girls, as she says in the makeover. I just thought it was so funny. Didn't use a baseball cap on her this time. So they were being a little bit more creative. They gave her a leather jacket and she's riding a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. And she wears flannel. And I was like, okay, the queer coding. Like, she just wants to be one of us, but whatever.
I was thinking that the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just thought it was so funny, though. Also, the motorcycle that they gave her. Obviously, they're not going to whip out, like, a Harley Davidson for this movie or anything. But, like, it was the weakest looking putt scooter I've ever seen. I was like, if someone ever dared to, like, try to intimidate me and, like, rolled up in that little, like, meep meep of a motorcycle, like, you've got to be kidding. You've got to be kidding. I just thought it was really funny and I had to put it out there. But you were saying the whole thing about like the words that they use in this movie. And this is one of my main notes that I took down many times. It definitely starts in the makeover.
Amazeballs.
Take it away. Amazeballs.
Amazeballs. The entire movie. I said one of my main notes was take a shot every time they say Amazeballs. Because they said it throughout the entire movie. You would be dead.
That would not be safe.
You would have alcohol poisoning. It is so bad.
That was another one of the things that I put in the tweet of pictures that were spoilers without any context. I took a picture of the definition of amazeballs and I put that up there because they have a lot of different phrases like, you know, BT dubs and totes and... I don't know, other things.
Go for it.
But Amazeballs was the one that I was like, if y'all don't shut up right now. Oh, God. Yeah. The phrasing, because I'm trying to think. I mean, 2012 was 10 years ago at this point, meaning we were...
I'm sorry,
13
what?
and 12. Yeah. That was a decade ago.
Oh my God. My life is flashing before my eyes. 2012 was like a huge year. I feel like so many things happened in 2012. Coney 2012.
I was about to say
Instagram.
Coney.
That's when I joined Instagram. I turned 13. Started middle school.
Oh, yeah. I guess I was 13, turned 14 in 2012. Okay. I wasn't thinking of that. So I was in 8th grade. Mm-hmm. I was in 8th grade and you were in 7th.
No,
I mean, people did say really cringy things. People did say very cringy things, very cringy phrases, but also like we were in middle school and we were supposed to be. Were college kids really saying those things? That's what I want to know. Like, were college kids doing this?
I highly doubt it.
I hope not.
Oh God,
I hope
that
they
was
were
like the peak of my Imagine Dragons phase. Oh boy.
I could believe it.
Oh boy.
Honestly, for me, it wasn't even, I don't know, 8th grade, I was still just.
It was a year.
I'm trying to think like what I was even up to. Like
soccer.
Other than soccer, not much. Yeah, it was really just soccer and
it was
not
swimming.
much else on the brain.
I was busy being a foot taller than everyone at middle school. It was to a point where some kids asked me if I was a teacher, so they would ask me for directions in the hallway, and I was like, I'm new here. I'm a 6th grader. Because I had long ass hair. And I wore so many cardigans.
Oh my God. See, I've honestly, like, now that I'm in my early 20s, but like I'm in my 20s. I'm 23. I'm solidly in my 20s at this point. I have the opposite problem where people think I'm still a teenager. Like I was at a clothing store a little while ago. I told you about this, but at the end of me getting checked out, the girl was like, "Oh, wait, how old are you?" Because we were like vibing, we were chatting, and she was like, "How old are you?" And I was like 20. I don't remember if it was before or after my birthday. I was 23, and she was like, "Oh," and I was like, "What?" And she said, "I thought you were 15, and I was gonna offer you a job."
My God.
I was ready to die instantly, and I was like, "Girl,
15?
what?" Yeah, and when I got my first vaccine shot, the woman, when I was leaving, the woman that like checked me, and she was like, "I just have to tell you, when you first came down the stairs, I was about to ask you where your parents were." Because she thought I was younger than 16 and that I needed to have a parent with me to get my vaccine.
I'm offended for you. That's awful.
I know. But like at the same time, like I would take that over being called a teacher in middle school. I'm so sorry.
It was pretty embarrassing.
Like that's so embarrassing for them to be like, "Yeah, you're definitely in your 30s at least." And that's pre-pandemic, no mask on the face.
Full braces plus expander. So I had a lisp.
Ooh. Expander. See, I never had an
key.
expander.
Oh my God. No,
I was
and
so scared.
they didn't even give me like the metal kind that they like hook onto your teeth. It was the full plastic, like 3 times the size of your molars situation. So it was just like, and you could see it every time I opened my mouth. It was gigantic, and I couldn't say my E's because of the metal part.
Aww.
And I had to like lay back, and my mom got so nauseous when trying to turn the key that my dad did it every time. And then my swim coach told me that he had one.
Else do it.
Right, like the day before I got it, my swim coach told me that he had one as a child, and his mom one day turned it a little bit too hard, and his entire upper jaw cracked open, and he was bleeding all over.
That's something you keep to yourself.
I know.
You
it was like the day
keep
before I got
yourself.
it, I was terrified, and I was already such an anxious child.
I believe it.
Anyway, 2012, the year of the expander. It was glow in the dark.
Oh no, my year of braces, I think because I only had like actual like metal braces on my teeth for like a year. I was really lucky. But that was like 2009 to 2010. I had it from like 5th to 6th grade, which still not fun at all. Horrible, no good, no fun. And for me, I didn't have any expander situations, but what I did have is I had like one of my teeth like grew on top of the other one, and the baby tooth like wouldn't come out, so they had to pull it, and then they had to use like a power chain to pull it down. So that wasn't fun, but like I would take it over an expander any day. I didn't have to crank anything.
It was
so
awful.
I made it. I was so scared though. Like growing up as a kid, I was just so, for whatever reason, I was so sure that like, you know, in movies, every now and then, like to really show that someone's like a super duper nerd, they have like the whole like headset thing. I was so convinced that that was something that like every kid had to go through at some point, and I was so nervous for it to happen to me. I was so relieved when all I needed was braces.
Oh my God. No, there was a kid at my school that had it, and they didn't have it for very long, but oh my God, that I feel bad for them.
That'd be such a pain.
Yeah.
That'd be such a pain.
Yeah.
Ugh.
They came
But
out
yeah,
of the other
I mean,
side
there's
with beautiful teeth.
Well, there's our orthodontic past. I mean, there's more to mine too, but I don't
Anyway.
need to go into it.
The next note
But
I have... Oh, okay.
what's your next
So
note?
the next
What's your
note-
next note?
So at this point, they have done all the stylist stuff, and they have gone to the sorority. And outside of the sorority, Molly comes in contact with one of the main girls that she's trying to become friends with, and her name is Cotton. And Cotton's frat boyfriend, who's like yelling at her and telling her she's stupid. And I said, frat boy is acting for his life.
He really does. Every
so
time he
dramatic.
comes in, he was convincing. He was convincing. He was a very convincing douche. He was very convincing.
Yeah.
He was doing his thing.
He was
doing his
scary.
thing. What did he even say? At one point, I don't remember what he said in the beginning, but I did take a note that later on when he's being mean to Cotton yet again, he tells her that she looks like a New Jersey housewife.
Yes, I did make a note of that. I said, so they're at like this outdoor pajama party with all the sororities and frats, and Cotton comes out wearing this like very normal floral dress, and frat guy boyfriend says, "You look like a New Jersey housewife, like you're wearing some like gross cheap dress." And I said, I'm not convinced frat guys are smart enough to judge what girls are wearing when they have one crusty towel and live on Kraft mac and cheese that they eat straight out of the pot.
You make a point. Well, because even like the rich frat guys, I mean, it's just vineyard vines on vineyard vines with boat shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because your clothes might be cleaner than the other frat, but like it's so gross. It's so gross.
It's
You make a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
And also, yeah, he's just like he was the most average looking kind of guy. I was like, you have no room to be saying any of this. But yeah, so Cotton's boyfriend sucks. That's just kind of a general consensus. Every time he's in the movie, it's just him being a bad boyfriend for a minute and then leaving.
Bad boys. What you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
What you gonna do when they come for you?
You know, I'm not sure. I haven't figured it out, but I'm gonna think of a plan. But the so yeah, we're at the sorority house. Oh, you look like you had a thought.
Yeah,
what's your thought?
When she goes into the sorority house, I said it's like that video of the sorority when they go, "We've been waiting for you all summer, and we're so glad you're finally here." And then they go into this like demonic clapping chant.
See, this is why whenever I tweet from our account, I don't even like bother to like ask you if you agree with me, because I know you do. That was literally the other picture I used as a spoiler with no context, was a picture of those guys. I want to go 80 pie, boom boom. I literally had a picture from that video that I used. Literally.
I need to watch that video again. It's so funny. It makes me laugh so hard.
It makes me like it's funny, but it's also so horrifying. I like, no judgment to anybody that like genuinely wants to be in a sorority, but it is my nightmare. It is my absolute nightmare. I cannot imagine ever being at a point in my life where I'm like, I would like to audition to be your friend, and then I want you to scream and clap in my face once you accept me. Like, I don't want that for my life. Like, listen, I graduated from college in May, and you know, a decent portion of it was online. Like a good year and a half of it was online. I transferred after my freshman year, so I didn't end up with many friends at the end of college. Like, I had some friends, like, in my classes or whatever, but other than people that I, like, worked with that I was really good friends with, I didn't make a lot of friends in class because I genuinely just, like, didn't have the time to form any friendships, but I would take that over being in a sorority any day. I am so sorry. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I'm, like, one of 4 people from my grade that didn't go to a sorority. Did you know that?
Really?
Did you know that like my entire grade from high school ended up being in a sorority?
Oh, okay. I for whatever reason, I was like, I thought you were talking about like your college, and I was like,
I go to art
your
school.
School does not. I was like, do you guys even have sororities?
No.
Like, that's why I was confused. But yeah,
dorms.
no, the grade you were in high school is very sorority leaning.
I don't get it. Like maybe I'm just dumb, but I was blown away by that information.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, I know for some people it's fun, it's great, they make good friends, but like, just for me personally, that is horrifying. And to live in a house with that many people and like all of the events that you have to go to, it is not for me.
Yeah,
not for me.
I've lived alone for most of college at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I had roommates my first 2 years. My roommates from my freshman year were so great. Shout out to my roommates from my freshman year. Also, I will be shouting out more specifically another one of my roommates later when I announce our next movie. But yeah, I could not imagine my college experience alongside. It's also just, it's so straight and white. Like that part of like sorority and like, I know it's, you know, not all sororities, not all frats, but like I just
But the vast majority.
yeah, and especially with like me coming out like right after high school, right before I got into college, the last thing I needed was to be in an environment where I felt othered again. Like I was still very much like coming to terms and becoming comfortable with myself. I didn't need to be in a space where there weren't more gays. I was going to the like, I don't even remember what they called it at my first at the first college I went to, but I used to go to like our gay straight alliance thing like every week with one of my friends, and I needed to be around the gays.
Yeah, Grace,
That's what I needed.
I don't think anyone is going to be surprised that you were not seeking out being in a sorority.
And why is that?
I don't know.
Are you trying to tell me that you weren't? Are you trying to tell me that you weren't surprised when you figured out that I was gay?
Grace,
Are you trying to tell me that you weren't surprised?
Grace.
You were literally the one that was like, you're not bi, girl. Like, put it together. Like, at first when I came out, I did think that I was bi because I was like, I don't know, I've dated guys. You were like, Grace, shut up. You're a lesbian, Grace. Admit it to yourself. Respectfully, you're a lesbian. And you know what? You got me. Oh my God. Homophobic Mike. My mic really said, shut up. We get it. You're gay. But
and then we're introduced to Kelly Osbourne in the dorm. Or not in the dorm, in the sorority house.
I was getting so impatient because again, I had looked up the characters and I was like, when is Kelly Osbourne coming?
Oh, it was
when is she coming? Where is she coming? Oh my God. I wish it had been a shock to me, honestly. I was like overly prepared for my notes, but I was so excited once she finally came on screen. But yeah, Kelly is Molly, now Brooke. So now Miley's character goes by the name Brooke because she's undercover. Mm-hmm. She's undercover. And I wrote down Kelly Osbourne's character's name. Becky.
Oh, Becky.
Her name was Becky, I guess. But yeah, did we even mention they're in the sorority because the girl that she has to protect is in the sorority. So Brooke.
See, I watched the whole movie and I never got why she was at the sorority. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention during the important part when they were giving the information as to why. And so I was completely lost the entire movie. I was like, why is she there? Anyway.
Yeah, because the girl that Brooke needs to protect is in the sorority. So.
Is that the girl with the straight black hair?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Alex. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one last thing on the whole cotton conversation. In that first argument, her boyfriend's like, oh, you're just like all the other girls. And she said, no, I'm not. I was a raspberry for Halloween last year.
Yeah,
I made sure to write that down.
That's a good one.
I thought that was absolutely hilarious. But then the next scene, so, you know, she walks into the house and they're like, yay, with their little clapping or whatever, initiating people in. We meet Kelly Osbourne, aka Becky. And then like the next main scene that happens is it's that evening and they're doing, what's the word? I couldn't think of the word. I wrote down initiation, not indoctrination, but I mean, pick your poison. And so all the girls go down and they're all wearing like matching white dresses with candles. And they start singing this song to initiate the girlies. And I nearly choked because the song that they were singing, they started singing, it only takes a spark to get... That was my elementary school's song. Like, we had a school song that we would sing at the end of like whole school meetings, and that was the song, and it just like immediately like just it gave me whiplash to being like 11 years old. It's a whole song in itself, but a lot of times people like switch the words to like make it work for their group. It was hilarious for me that they started singing this song that like at my elementary school in Connecticut we were like dee 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 dee. It's just so funny. But then Brooke acts out because she thinks that she sees somebody about to attack Alex through the window, but it was just frat boys. Knocks over a candle. Fire. Sprinklers. Girls don't like her because she got them wet. That's like all that happens in that scene other than the song.
You couldn't have worded that any differently, Grace.
What did I say?
Girls don't like her because she got them wet.
Oh no. Your brain went there, not mine.
Sorry.
Anyways. What was even... Then there was this scene where all of the girls are literally just standing around in their bras. And they're all just talking. And I think it was just a scene that they used to, like, introduce more of the sisters that are going to be a part of the movie more. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was just so funny because there's a girl named Taylor who is played by the same actress that plays Stacy in Pitch Perfect. And I was like, you have been typecast. I'm so sorry, girl. And every time Taylor says something, it's always like a stupid thing, and it's always very sexual, and I was like, oh girl, she got so typecasted. Mm-hmm. She has like apparently the ultimate dumb sexual college girl, and I just feel so bad for her. I hope that actress has gotten other things. I hope she's gotten other gigs since then.
I made a note about this scene. I said, this is what I imagine really happens in a sorority, but with more modern farmhouse decor.
True. At this point, it's all shiplap. It's just all everywhere. It's just everywhere. And just with those, like...
Everywhere.
Oh my God. Being a former Target employee, that stuff is so expensive. Like, their home decor line... It was terrifying. I'd be like putting away all of our like regular towels, and then I'd go over to their section. It's like $100. I was like, absolutely not. This is going to dry off my ass after I shower. Like, no.
Look at my background to see if I need to like cover up anything that I purchased from that section of Target. I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, like some of this stuff is kind of cute. Like if you pick and choose like a good one. But just in general, whenever there were people that were like shopping for back to school in that section, I was like, oh my God, like your dorm is going to have that? No. But anyways, no judgment. That's just expensive. Mm-hmm. That is a lot. But anyways, yeah. So weird scene where they're just all in their bras and just like, oh, I want a Maserati someday. But Brooke just... the worst undercover spy to ever exist. Her, like, because they were going around saying, oh, what do you ultimately, like, what do you want more than anything in the world? And then she just starts listing off different kinds of guns. This girl was so gun happy throughout the whole movie. That was one of the other notes I made, because there are multiple instances where she just whips out a little pistol, just left, right, and center. And I'm like, girl,
you think that doesn't happen
maybe we should... What?
You think that doesn't happen at sororities? I would imagine it does, especially in the South.
I mean, I have no idea, but for being someone who's supposed to be undercover and like low key, I'm like, girl, you need to really make sure you know what's going on before you just start whipping your pistol out, because she would just do it so quickly. I'm sorry. If you're starting to think of more things based off of what I'm saying, that's your problem. That is your problem. Oh, God. But I also made a note at this point in the movie, while they're all in their bras and talking about what they want, a bunch of them realize that a lot of their stuff has gone missing. And they're like, who has taken my this? Who's taken my that? And all the girls are like, oh, we're all missing things. And one of the things that someone was missing was their eyelicious moisturizer. I was like, that you couldn't have thought of anything better than eyelicious. Like, were you just not able to get any more product placement? Maybelline didn't want to be name dropped. Like, they were just like,
Maybelline was name dropped by the stylist.
Oh, I don't know. They didn't want to pay for two segments. Too much. But and then of course Taylor, aka Stacy from Pitch Perfect, what she's missing is a neck massager, which it's not a neck massager.
That's a full-on magic wand vibrator.
It was. and it'll come back. This scene I wrote down, I was like, that was the stupidest scene I've ever seen, but it does come back with semi-importance later.
Mm-hmm.
But from there, I mean, we're introduced to this guy named Nick, who, again, like, he ends up being fairly important. He and Brooke hit it off. They're in the same crime class. They never really said what the class was, or at least I must have missed it. But basically, Brooke, Nick, and Alex, the girl that she's supposed to protect, are in this crime class. And Brooke, yet again, makes it very evident that she knows a lot about crime when she shouldn't. And she gets to know this guy, Nick. They hit it off. Eventually, they go on a date. I know I'm skipping around a little bit, but, like,
That's fine.
There were a lot of, like, short little scenes. Like, I don't feel like we need to go over the pajama party or anything. Like, anyways. But after the first class, she kind of also, another semi-important thing happens. They see Alex's former roommate walking out of class with a different professor. And they're just like, oh, why won't she wave back to Alex? And Brooke's over here like, because she's sleeping with him, and, like, dissects how she knows that they're definitely hooking up and yada yada. And they're like, oh my God, Brooke, who are you? She's so dumb. And then she's like, I mean, totes amazeballs. Like, every time she gets caught, like, kind of giving away that she knows things, she's like, I mean, amazeballs. Oops.
Yeah, she's so desperate to have people think she's smart. I got so annoyed.
Yeah.
Not as annoyed as Tall Girl, but oh my God.
Yeah. Well, one of my also, like, general notes, I mean, we've talked about it kind of jokingly, but I was kind of frustrated in general with, like, the overall, like, if you want to be like other girls, you need to be reduced down to saying stupid phrases and goofy words, and you're supposed to be stupid and sexual. Like, it was this, like, it was a very, like, again, I'm not super into sorority life, but I think it's very demeaning and unfair to just be like, all sorority girls are so stupid and they're so dumb. Like, that's not the case. I don't think I'd fit in that kind of an environment, but the way that they portrayed sorority girls as just being dumb bimbo, like, it was questionable. And also, even in 2012, like, the comfort at which movies had when it came to making jokes about eating disorders is insane to me. Like, they made jokes about eating disorders like 5 times at least, where I was just like, maybe we don't make fun of that. Like, that's really serious stuff, and they just throw it around. And I hate it. I hate that. That's one of those things from, like, early 2000s to obviously even 2012, where I'm like, y'all are a little too comfortable making jokes about things like that.
Yeah, I think it probably wasn't until, like, 2019 that people were really talking about, like, hey, maybe making jokes about eating and body and stuff like that is just maybe not the most probably shouldn't do that. But
maybe it's not
sucks
kind.
It sucks that it took so long. But yeah, I think 2012 was really, I remember it being a very prominent thing still. I mean, I was a child who that was around the time when Abercrombie and Fitch was still really popular.
True.
And that kind of culture, and it was the like the height of being preppy, I think, right? Around that time,
Yeah.
when we were in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, you've got all of these like stores that really promote being thin and having that sort of lifestyle. So obviously it's going to be really prevalent in a sorority. I mean, no matter which one it is, that's just kind of how it's going to be, in and outside of sororities, obviously.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, it's sad because like you want to think like, oh, these kinds of jokes weren't okay, like, but they really were very normalized back then. And like, even when I think back to like my early days in like high school when Vine was popular, I mean, the kinds of things that people would say and become so popular for, like, people have already delved into this so much already, like on YouTube and everything, about like, oh, the things that David Dobrik did, and like the jokes that, I mean, even someone like Shane Dawson, or like those kinds of things, like, it was, it's disgusting to look back on what people were okay with making jokes about. Like, I know, I know that like some people get stuff. Oh, it's so PC. What? Why can't we say anything? Because like it's not funny to make fun of diseases that literally like kill people. It's not fun to make fun of people with eating disorders. It's not fun to make like, it's just, it's sad how long it took. I'm glad the conversation has changed, but it really is so like just uncomfortable to look back at like a piece of media from that time and how comfortable people were with those kinds of things, especially now being on the other side where there has been more conversation where it's like, that's not good.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's such a weak finale thought for me to have after saying everything else, but you know, not good.
Yeah.
Not fun.
I recently, this is going to expose me a lot, but I recently went back and I watched a lot of old Troye Sivan videos, just because, you know, that whole like twee trend is going around on TikTok. So I was like, I was a functioning teenager around the time when we all wore skater skirts and knee-high socks and things like that. I want to go back.
Okay, I didn't understand what twee was. What is that?
It's like
I never saw it.
It's
But
like
people were
early
just talking about
hipster.
it.
It's early
Okay,
like Portlandia style hipster, I would say. I could be
okay.
wrong, but yeah, bird on stuff, that kind of thing. But I was, you know, going back and watching like 2013, 14 Troye Sivan just for fun, and yeah, I think the culture is just completely different. I don't remember what I was going to say about that, but it's just, I remember that time very vividly because that's obviously the time when we were very impressionable teenagers. So, I mean, I was reminded that that's the time when like Brandy Melville started, and when people were like first really starting to get into fashion that wasn't just like whatever your parents were buying you, you know,
Right.
for our age group. And we first started really getting into social media. Like I think 2012 was the year that I started Instagram, and that was before like influencers were a thing, but still it was like at the very beginning peak of like comparing yourself to other people. So that's why I think that those jokes are so prevalent in movies from this time, because, you know, it makes sense.
It was a very toxic time to have a body, to exist. Oh God. But yeah, feels like such a weird conversation to then just transition back to, all right, so back to the shenanigans.
I don't know if any of that's going to make sense at all, but I just think that was a time that has very strong cultural impact for sure.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you think back to like early hipster stuff, I mean, all of the pictures on Tumblr and stuff, like people weren't really talking about like body positivity or anything back then. It was just like these skinny people in not overalls. I'm trying to think of suspenders and mustaches on their finger. I don't. Yeah,
bikini bridge, and thigh gap, that kind of thing.
Oh my God, yeah. Tough time.
Tough time. But it's tough as an adult that had to grow up as a teenager seeing all of those things so heavily. I mean, I don't want to say, but we've, both had experience in that area.
Yeah, there's been issues, but on the better side of it at this point. But yeah, it's just it's tough to see jokes like that be made and how okay it was. But yeah, I guess back to the shenanigans. There are multiple times throughout the movie then where Brooke meets up with Armin, who's the guy that like recruited her, and she, she'll give little updates here and there. Her and Nick start like dating. They go on a date, and he opens up to her, but she doesn't really open up because obviously she's undercover. And at one of the meetings, Armin's like, Nick's not who he says he is, and like shows a picture and is like, his name is actually Patrick, and the lady that gave you a makeover was murdered, and the guy that murdered her says that Patrick is in on the crime, and all this stuff. So the next time that Brooke then sees him, she literally handcuffs this man to a radiator and punches the daylights out of him, and then steals. I'm totally skipping over something. There was another. Okay. But yeah, she punches him, steals his motorcycle. I'll get back to that in a second. But there was a time earlier, I think it was actually at the pajama party, so maybe it was semi-important. She leaves the pajama party because she sees Alex leaving, and she follows her, and she ends up at the Alex is going to the professor who teaches the crime class that they're both in. She's going to his house, and she's like, that's strange. And then after she beats him up, when she beats Nick up, who's supposedly also named Patrick, she steals his motorcycle and goes there because Alex leaves and a car follows, and she's like, oh no, Alex is in trouble. And I just thought it was so funny. The funniest product placement of this whole movie, though, definitely happens during this moment. So she goes to the professor's house because she saw Alex leaving and is just like, oh, that's where she is. As she's on her way to go steal Nick's motorcycle, she just grabs a bag of chips. And when she gets to the professor's house, she very, very obviously like holds up the bag of chips, and it's like Zapp's chips. Yeah. The ones that like you can get at a
Potbelly,
like Which or Potbelly. That's the one.
Those are good.
Yeah, it's those chips. And I was like, why did she's on her way to go like save someone's life. Why did she grab chips and stuff them in her shirt? It's because there's an alligator.
Oh.
No, it's because there is an alligator at the teacher's house, and she knew she could ward off the alligator by giving it some Zapp's chips.
I thought she was being not like other girls and admitting that she eats chips.
No, it was because she used it as bait to lure the alligator away.
Yeah, I did notice that, and I was like, why wouldn't she take them out of the package? The alligator is not going to know how to open a bag.
Yeah, no, she just tossed the alligator the bag, and then it's like, shh, and just sneaks into the professor's house, which this was another one of the moments for me where I was like, girl, I'm going to go crazy, because she just busts into people's she busts into people's rooms, and she never has like full evidence that someone did something wrong. She just like has a hunch, and then just is like, I've got a pistol. Don't you dare. And she walks in with her little itty bitty pistol and her flashlight, doing the classic arm over arm. But she finds like pictures of herself and is like, oh my God, what's going on? Turns out the professor was an FBI agent, and Armin was actually with the bad guys that she was supposedly trying to stop this whole time. Little flip-flopperoonie, because Armin comes out of nowhere with a mask on, which, by the way, she needs to take notes. She goes too many places with her face just out and about. But he like beats her up, but doesn't shoot her. So she was like, oh my God, it must be Armin. Figures it all out. But Alex is now a hostage of Armin's. And then she just like meets up with Armin like a few minutes later and is all just casual about she's just like, so you've been tricking me this whole time. Like, why are you meeting with him? He literally has a hostage and could murder you right now. And she's just like meeting up with him. And I'm like,
Because she's not like other
so
girls.
Casual. Yeah.
She's
But
got
okay.
confidence.
Yeah. I'm gonna wrap up the end of this movie in like minute or less at this point. And then we can like discuss the movie as a whole.
Yeah.
So at this point, and I definitely skipped a few scenes. Like there was a scene where another sorority had like a car wash, but they were trying to sell plushies and all that. Like they're like little side segments that aren't super important, but basically the most important thing from that side segment is that Cotton actually is a chem major who makes mace. So there's that, and also earlier I mentioned the whole scene of them all in their bras talking about how they're missing stuff. We find out that Sasha, the head of the sorority, is actually kind of a kleptomaniac and steals everybody's stuff. So those are just kind of the two little side pieces going into the grand finale. So after Brooke meets up with Armin, she goes back to the sorority house, and the FBI is there like waiting for her or whatever, and she somehow convinces them to let her do one last little trade-off, and she's going to be able to get Alex back. Apparently what Alex had this whole time was literally just like financial papers of some type that the bad guys wanted, to put it simply. And for whatever reason, the FBI is like, all right, you can do this, girl. And at the end of the day, Armin then like captures Brooke, but Brooke then uses mace that was made by Cotton, and it makes him woozy and delirious after there's like a few fight scenes or whatnot. And Alex was trapped in a car, and Armin's like, I'm gonna blow it up, and he blows up the car, but Alex isn't there because Sasha had stolen the keys off of Armin as he walked by her. Yada yada, all ends well. That's the movie. So, you know, it's a pretty easy to guess answer of, oh, the guy that you wouldn't suspect all along actually was lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they throw you for a loop a few times and kind of like expose how a few people aren't really who they say they are. Like, Sasha used to not be as pretty as she is now and worked at a Taco Bell. But like, it's never anything all that deep until the whole thing with Armin. And Nick was Nick all along, and the whole Patrick thing was just photoshopped.
Yeah.
So
my main takeaways were, I thought that the love story situation was kind of weird. I felt that it was unnecessary, and I was also bothered by the fact that like the only reason that they really like each other is because they both like motorcycles and jazz, and that just like really makes me mad.
Did she even like jazz? She literally was like, she was like rejecting him at first and was like, I don't like the French.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
When he asked her to a jazz, but I mean, they go to a jazz club for their first date. I also made a note regarding the whole love story angle of the first time that when he's walking her home from the first date, and she's like, let's just go around the block one more time. They are like speed running this walk. Like, I'm sorry, but like if you're on like a romantic walk that you don't want to end, you're gonna walk slowly. But she was like power walking through it, and I just thought it was really funny. Like, she was just, meow. Oh, I want to walk around the block one more time. Meow. Like, what are you doing? She's like running away from him, and they had just so straight. Just watching Nick and Molly. Oh my God, I went through like 3 names. Brooke. Kiss like 7 times.
It was so loud.
Like, okay,
their kiss was so loud. I said,
and it was always like, oh, I know, and they'd be like in the middle of the courtyard at school, and it's just like, ew. I'm like, stop it, just stop it, quit it, absolutely quit it.
It was gushy.
Overall,
I didn't like it.
What?
It was Oshi-Goshi and I didn't like it.
She was Oshi-Goshi, very, very hetero, and I wasn't here for it.
Yeah, the
But-
whole thing was so straight, and
I know.
and in the worst way possible, because not only is Molly like a grade A pick me, but it just makes me upset when they try to make girls seem like not like other girls, but the reason that they're not like other girls is because they're really interested in things that like super masculine men are really into, like motorcycles, jazz, not wearing frilly dresses, and
leather jackets.
It's just annoying. Like, you know,
Yeah.
nobody else does that. And those are also
Yeah.
just like
The
gross things to
whole-
like anyway.
Yeah, the whole not like other girls theme, I'm getting a little tired. Like it's so overdone in these movies. It's you know, I make jokes about it with like the hats and everything, but like literally it goes to show how in a lot of media it's almost like feminine girl bad. Like it's always
That's what
like,
I'm saying.
all girls are feminine, and if you stray from that, you're the different one, but also you're the better one. You're different, but you're better than the regular girl. Like
It's
my
not
God.
it's not
I
empowering.
just thought of a connection.
Yeah, go for it.
It's like this. You probably haven't heard it, but it's like the gay icon Haley Steinfeld's whatever year hit, Most Girls. Have you ever heard that song?
I'm sorry, I haven't.
She sings a song where she's like, I wanna be like most girls, because she's like, see, listen, but I mean,
love
it's got
her.
a good message. It's got a good message where it's like at the end of the day, it's like, what's the problem with being like most girls? Like,
Yeah.
what's the problem with femininity? What's the like?
I think
It's such an overdone trope of, oh, girl is girly. That's no good. This girl's different, which is weird but good. Like
yeah.
yeah.
I would say my issue specifically with this movie was that they portrayed Cotton as a very feminine blonde girl, and the person that she was with was a very controlling and gross frat boy. And then they had this like really deep, meaningful relationship for the girl that's not like other girls. And I would say that they do it in a way that's not empowering to women. It's a different way to appeal to men, and it's annoying.
Right. Like you can show girls that aren't feminine without like taking a dump on girls that are feminine. Like you don't have to always just it's always, again, it's always like she's an other, she's not like girls, which is gross, but like she's better. Like it's always like, in order to empower the girls that aren't super feminine, we have to tear down the girls that are, and that's the part of it where I'm like,
Yeah.
it's
also a straight
that's the part of it that gets gross.
because I don't know, I'm gay, but I also love pink, 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 girls, 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 glitter, 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 twirls, twirls, twirls.
Speaking of, let's see that shirt you've got on. Speaking of the color pink, stand up for those watching our YouTube.
I found a Dolly Parton shirt at Target.
Oh
It
yes,
has
you
her
did.
face and signature and a butterfly on it.
So iconic.
It's
We
one of my
absolutely
most prized
love
possessions.
it, as it should be. How many amazeballs would you give this out of 10?
The movie or my shirt?
I mean, your shirt is obviously a 12 out of 10, but the movie.
I'm gonna give it a 3 amazeballs out of 10, and I would give it 2, except for I really liked the last scene of the movie, because it got a little bit gay when Molly it's like, where's the real files that we're looking for? And what's her name, Alex, has them in a secret compartment in her necklace.
Oh my god. Well, no, and Molly even just like knew. She was like, give me the
I
files.
know.
And just
I was
reaches
like-
over to the necklace right away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Man, you bumped it up a whole number just because the secret files were in her necklace.
Yeah, that's the gay content I wanted from this movie.
I mean, we'll
Girls
take what
touching
we can
another
get.
girl's necklace.
For me, I would give it like a 3.5 because like it wasn't the most unbearable thing I've ever experienced. I like if someone was forcing me to watch Tall Girl again, I would go insane. I don't think I'd go crazy, but I wouldn't be excited about it. Like 3.5. Like it had a few moments where it was kind of funny for a second or something. But I didn't like it. I don't want to rewatch it. So it's below a 5. I don't want to rewatch it ever again. So I give it 3.5 Amazeballs. And looking ahead, our next movie,
Give it to him.
as requested by my roommate from my freshman year of college, Grace, a great name with a great request. She has requested Paper Towns.
Oh my
so
God.
that's what we have next. And yeah, no, it made me realize I was like, I hadn't thought about John Green movie interpretations of books, and that is now opening a new floodgate, and we will be discussing that movie next. So I don't know what streaming platform or whatever it is
We'll
on,
find it.
but I'll tweet it later and
I'm
let all you
excited for this
know.
one.
Yeah, so get ready because Paper Towns is up next.
Rock and roll, baby.
Oh, rock and roll. All right, bye-bye.